I moved to my dad's when I was 10 and didn't know anyone in the area, except the family my dad was friends with, a single mother with 3 kids. Luckily there was a girl a couple years older than me, 12 at the time I met her, and we got to know each other a little over a couple years. We weren't close, but we ended up having the same friends. One night, my friend Rob was hanging out with her and her younger brother. They happened to be in the house alone because my friend's mum was at her work, which is where this gets terrifying and sad. Her mother has been helping this one lady for her work and got to know her fairly well. She found out her sister was in a mental institution and had been let out recently. The night Rob is hanging out with my friend, they get a knock on the door. My friend thought it was just their mum. She knocked a certain way when coming in, and answered it without thinking. Rob wasn't supposed to be there, and he took off through the window to his house down the road. He never thought twice about it. It wasn't her mum. It was the sister of the lady her mum was helping, and she figured out through talking to her sister where her family lived and her mum's working schedule. She came in, and this is where I don't know the details, and I'm glad I don't. My friend's younger brother got away to the neighbors to call the police. The lady brutally murdered my friend a week from Christmas, decapitated her, and left her body naked in the bathtub. She even hid her head. They had to look for the presents, and I don't know where they found it, but they did. I wasn't allowed to go to her funeral. Last night, a friend rushed me out of the house to catch the opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I realized my phone wasn't in my pocket. I checked the table we were sitting at, the bar, the bathrooms, and after no luck, I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered, gave out a low, raspy giggle, and hung up. They didn't answer again. I eventually gave it up for a lost cause and headed home. I found my phone laying on my nightstand, right where I left it. When I was a little kid, I was always the last person picked up by the bus driver to go to school. One day I was waiting for the bus by myself, and a bus with no kids pulled up. The bus driver smiled and told me to hop on. I just had a bad feeling. I said, "Where are the other kids?" He said, "We will go get them now, just get on." He got more and more pushy but didn't do anything crazy. I just kept on saying no, and he shrugged and pulled away. The real bus pulled up a few minutes later. I went to school and my parents didn't know until I mentioned it that night. Looking back, they seemed really worried, and I remember them scrambling to make a few phone calls. When I was little, my mum would take me to Kmart and let me wander around the toy section while she was shopping. It was normal in the 70s. One day, I was playing Simon Says, and an old man walked up to me and was making small talk while I played. He eventually told me to come with him and took me by the hand. We walked right down the main center aisle of the store, right towards the exit sign in the back. As we crossed the last row, I looked to the right and saw my mum at the end of the row. I told him I saw my mum and I had to go. I pulled my hand away and ran down to her. I didn't tell her what happened because I didn't want to get in trouble for going with a stranger. It was several years later that I realized that I probably narrowly avoided being molested, kidnapped, or worse. This started when I was 7 years old and my brother was 10. It was past our bedtime when our mum woke up off the couch to put us to bed. Our dad worked construction out of town back then, so it was often just the 3 of us at the house for weeks at a time. Up the stairs and to the immediate right was our parents' bedroom. Going left put you in the middle of a hallway. Taking another left down that hallway led to my brother's room. The opposite end was my room, which was also across the hallway from our upstairs bathroom. At either end of the hallway are window doors we always kept locked and rarely used. The door on my end led to a balcony overlooking our front yard, and the door on my brother's end opened to our back porch. The house kinda leans into a small hill. My brother and mum both had a bit of a habit of waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. I only knew this because I was always a light sleeper, and they just couldn't help flushing with the door wide open. This night, however, my brother stopped on his way to his room and came back towards the bathroom. I'm gonna try to pee before I go to bed. Past few nights I've been too afraid to walk to the bathroom. I keep seeing a man wearing stripes at the end of the hallway. I don't know if my mum wrote it off as my brother telling ghost stories to try and scare me, or if she was already half asleep and didn't catch it, but she didn't react at all to my brother's confession. I, on the other hand, was terrified by it. The fear of seeing a ghost like that at the end of the hallway or through the windows is the reason I started running from the stairs to my bedroom at night. Years later, when I was about 18, my mum and I were having a conversation in our car about a dog we had for a very short time when I was little. We were sharing stories about Max's tendencies towards destroying my shoes and other unruly behaviors, when my mum blurted out, "Do you remember that time I opened the front door for the cops, and Max ran inside the kitchen and started tearing open that big bag of dog food we had?" This really caught me by surprise, because in all the years I lived in that house, we never once called the cops. We were a gun-owning family in a quiet rural neighborhood. I asked her what she was talking about, and she looked equally surprised, as if she had just revealed something by accident. "Oh, that's right, I never told you because you were too young at the time. One night I woke up hearing noises outside my window, and when I looked, I saw a man staring into my bedroom." She went on to describe how turning on the lights caused him to take off running, and how she grabbed my dad's pistol before calling the cops. I can't remember all the details I gave them when they showed up. Tall, white male, wearing a striped shirt and jeans, short, dark hair, something like that. They said it matched the description of a man they were looking for in the area. It turns out he had escaped from jail on a murder charge. Now, I know it sounds so obvious hearing those two stories back to back, but it wasn't until a few years ago, in my mid-20s, that I finally pieced together that my brother had unknowingly warned us about a murderer who spent multiple nights casing our home.